to the Thursday night edition of the Jack Clegg Show. This is WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. And thanks to Martha Huckabee and Liberty in Lockdown, you're watching on video, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter or X.
You know I got to mess with you, right?
You do got to mess with me.
Yeah. So you're finally keeping up with the young folks.
I'm finally keeping up with the young folks. This is called Geezer Hour, and you're listening to Jack's Geezer Hour.
I love Jack, but I got to mess with you.
That's how it works. Yeah. That's how it works here. Anyway, so tonight we've got several things we want to talk about. We're going to talk about American exceptionalism again. We talked about it last Tuesday night, and we had some very, very good thoughts on it. And there were a few things I wanted to conclude about that. We're also going to talk about an issue that was it yesterday or the day before, that Philadelphia just got deluged by young people breaking into stores, stealing stuff, acting, what is it called? Acting a fool? Does that work?
This black man will take it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Acting a fool, stealing stuff. And the result is, and we know what's happening, it's all over the country. Stores are not staying in urban areas. They're closing down. CVS, Walgreens, Walmart. So we're going to talk about how Walmart is dealing with that issue. Last Tuesday, we played an audio about Walmart and how incredibly unique they are and how successful they've been. And then also we're going to talk about education. And last Thursday we had three ladies from a group called Jefferson Assembly who were very, very, very focused. It's a grassroots organization in Jefferson Parish. Very focused on what's going on in public libraries. It's not a good thing. The material there for young kids is not fit for anybody, but particularly not for young kids. And we've got a little bit more on that story that we're going to talk about tonight. So, and again, our call-in number is 504-556-9696. And again, welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Jack Clegg Show. Okay. American exceptionalism. What does it mean? And again, a lot of people can have a lot of different ideas about it. And I know there are many Americans who don't want to hear that. They get upset when they hear of American exceptionalism. It is the classic whataboutism. Because when you start talking about American exceptionalism, people say, well, what about racism? We've had racism. What about this? What about this? What about this? American exceptionalism is not American perfection. Different words, different meaning, different things completely. So our exceptionalism is something we need to rely upon. It's something we need to identify when we see it. We need to tell other people this is what makes America great. And hopefully, maybe, perhaps, others will emulate that kind of behavior. So we can look at the problems we have in the country and to say that problem's existence doesn't make America exceptional is wrong. It's not logical. We're exceptional people, all of us. Even you, Rob, are an exceptional person.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. And we could one night, maybe I'll have you as the sole interviewee on my program, and we can tell people the obstacles you've confronted in your life, how you've gotten past them, and how now you're one of the best producers in radio in the country.
We can make that happen. Right?
We could do that. So we do that. Anyway, so American exceptionalism. what, in order to use it, we need to tackle some big problems. Urban decay, big problem, big problem. So we've got a caller. Before I go any further on exceptionalism, because I promised this caller that I would let him call Thursday because I didn't have time from Tuesday. It's the Cajun Buccaneer. He's going to take a few seconds and talk to us. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead. As I
Yeah.
promised, it's Thursday night. Go for it.
Play ball. Let's not forget about the saltwater intrusion. Good evening, brother and sister pro-life, whistle-blowing parents, patriots, police, military, pet owners, cowboys and cowgirls. Can you say saltwater and shark invasion? They're spotting sharks in the river, especially at the mouth of the river. Right now, at this very moment, sharks and saltwater are intruding up the Mississippi, Louisiana River. Pray for rain. Salty water can destroy our washing machines, our pipes, our refrigerators, our clothes, our dishwashers, our businesses and our families. Salty water invasion and intrusion must be stopped at all costs, any cost. Pray for rain. We cannot drink, shower, or bathe in salty water. Now is the time to prepare. Buy as much bottled water as possible for your pets, families, and friends. Pray for rain. Do not listen to the Joker Biden or Snake Eyes Edwards. They'll tell you the water's safe, just like the vaccinations are safe. Yeah, right. Get ready and prepared now, America. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. And I am not going to talk about saltwater intrusion tonight unless someone calls and has a specific question, because I know everybody else is talking about it. And I don't have a lot to add, except it's not unprecedented. It happens. Just as we have floods where the water goes over the levees, we have to open up spillways. We have saltwater intrusion when we don't have a lot of water. Okay. Back to American exceptionalism. I was saying that to really establish it and show that it's real, we need to confront several issues. Urban decay, that's my biggest one. When I hear the Republicans, of which I am, talk about democratic cities, they're done it. Well, you can't write them off, and you don't want to write them off. You want to improve them. And so let's come up with a way to improve them. I know when Trump was president, he had some of these economic zones. I know some of the statistics for African-American employment were through the roof. They were doing great. Those are ways to solve problems using our exceptionalism. Lawlessness. As I mentioned before, what we watched the other night about what happened in Philadelphia, it's happened in Los Angeles. It's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's a young person thing. Why are they breaking down store windows, going in and stealing stuff? We can attack that, and we can do it in a smart way. And my belief is that through our exceptionalism, we can find a way past that. Educational mediocrity, another one that we need to approach. We don't need to call names. We need to fix problems. All right, we're going to take a break here in a second and come back in section 2, and we're going to talk about our friends at Walmart and what they're doing. We'll be back in a few moments.
A business without signage is like a car with a flat tire. It's not going anywhere fast. Sir Speedy can change that. We're a trusted resource for sign design and production. Whether you need trade show displays, banners, posters, directional signs, window decals, wall graphics, or more, Sir Speedy's sign capabilities can help your business get noticed. Call us today at 504-586-9812. Sir Speedy, we do it.
Hi, this is Kevin Carr, host of Fat Guys at the Movies. Listen every Sunday at 8 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
What we know about our economic problems, supply chain issues, record-setting inflation, sky-high gas prices. And during COVID, the big box stores were allowed to stay open the whole time. So many little guys, the small business owners, were forced to close. The wealthiest people on the planet became better off, while mom and pop suffered. The question is, what are we willing to do about it? How can our voices be heard? We vote with our dollars. That's how we make a difference. No more shopping at big box stores. If you can get the items from a family-owned company, we help people walk away from the big box conglomerates. We can shop factory direct at a family-owned, made-in-America manufacturer. Family-owned companies put their customers first, not Wall Street investors. Let's together cut off their cash flow. We can choose to help regular people by shopping with family-owned businesses and buying products made in America. Call 718-869-9020 or visit thepatriotshopper.com.
Join me, Mitch Gibbs, every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. live on WGSO Radio New Orleans, talking Saints football, their 12th season in the Red Zone. We'll be live at Premier Nissan at 6636 Veterans Boulevard, where Metairie meets Kenner, for another exciting season of Saints football live on WGSO Radio.
Tune in to Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO. Tell us what you're cooking or ask us how to cook it with Don Clement and Patty B. We'll share recipes, cooking techniques, everything from sous vide to grilling. Got a favorite kitchen gadget? Let us know about it. Your grandma's secret sauce? Now we're talking. Tips from home cooks for gourmet cooking at your home. Join Don Clement and Patty B for Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO.
Come on to my house.
More and more Americans are listening on American Ground. Listen each Saturday from noon to 1 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr.
Join me, DJ Rust, every weekday at 6 p.m. for the Something to Say radio show. We'll talk sports, music, current events, everything in between. That's weekdays, 6 p.m. only on WGSO 990 AM.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the Thursday night edition of the Jack Clegg Show. This is WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. And also welcome to our viewers on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And callers, 504-556-9696 is our call-in number for this evening. Okay. During the first some segment of the show, we were talking about American exceptionalism and what it means. We have to tackle the big problems because we are exceptional. We do not write them off. We do not write off entire groups of people because they need help. And I'm not talking about financial help. They may need help finding their way out of a life that's not a happy. I reject the silly notion and I don't understand these people at all. But there are people who think the United States is equal to the rest of the countries in the world, and we're no different than another country. The people who say that have not traveled. They've not been in the world. And it seems like they are gleeful when bad things happen here. See, I was right. We're not exceptional. And that is really juvenile, and it's not facing facts. China and Russia, our two biggest adversaries, need to be dealt with, not as competitors, but as adolescents. Why do I say that? Okay, we've been around 200 years. Okay. Russia's been around a lot longer. China's been around a lot longer. However, the people who run Russia have only been around since about 1917. That's when the Russian Revolution took place. And that's where communism took over Russia. Before that, it was Tsarist Russia. Before that, they had their own king. And that's the way it was. That's the way it was. We didn't have, in 1917, we didn't have a king. We didn't. We got rid of the king stuff in the late 1700s. China, the same way. And China's been around a longer time. Their culture is long and rich. But the government authorities there have been around for a short time. So we need to deal with them as adolescents because they have not been in the business of having a country and running a country as long as we are. Their system is not as mature as ours. Does ours need to change? Yeah, tweak it here and there, but it works and it's perfect. When I say perfect, we have all kinds of things that are there. We have another caller, Matthew from Metairie. Matthew from Metairie, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well, Jack, and how about you this evening?
I'm wonderful. I'm exceptional tonight.
Well, there you go.
All right.
So you were talking about the youths who are tearing up Philadelphia. I think they did it 2 nights in a row. I don't know if this is going on for another night, but and how they're behaving that way. I just flashed back to a book I read that really changed my political philosophy. And it's not a political book, though. It's a science fiction book. You ever heard of the book Starship Troopers by Robert Heinlein?
No. I know the movie Starship Troopers. Is it similar to that?
The movie is different from
the
book entirely.
Okay.
Most of the stuff that Robert Heinlein wanted to say in the book got left out of the movie.
Okay.
But what basically it boils down to is we're approaching our entire system of raising children with this idea that they have some kind of an inner angel. They have some kind of an inner good person. And with enough pleading and enough, gentle correction, it will pop out at any moment now. That's why we have an entire juvenile justice system designed to not punish children. That's why.
Excellent. I mean, that is a great field of thought, and it's a premise that I think we need to discuss. I think it's an interesting premise.
Well, you get into a lot of trouble though with Christians who insist that God has printed His law upon everybody's hearts.
Don't Christians also believe that we are all innately sinful?
Not all.
I think they do.
There are some Pentecostals out there who don't believe it.
Okay, but you're correct. I stand corrected. Not all. But I was under the impression that the vast majority of Christians, I don't know vast, but the majority of Christians believe that because we are all sinful, thanks for Jesus coming along and taking those sins of ours. And anyway, I don't want this to get into a religious discussion, but I understand where you're going.
Learn something new.
I understand where you're going with this, and that is that people often treat children like glass, and they're not glass.
No, as a matter of fact, one of the problems we have is we have a large number of single mothers who've decided not to abort their children and raise them themselves, and supposedly the government's supposed to act like the father or something. But I appreciate the fact that they're having the children as opposed to aborting them, because if they weren't doing that, we wouldn't have any population growth. Native population growth, that is. But at the same time, they never discipline their children. I think we were talking about this in that confab we had with Dave.
Sure.
But they send their kids off to these schools that they actually want to send their kids off to the schools to get the best education, going by the LEAP score grades.
Sure.
But they don't want to apply the effort themselves, and the schools are forbidden from applying the effort themselves because there's only one thing a child understands. It wants pleasure. The child wants pleasure and will avoid pain.
Well,
so you have to make it abundant that things that displease the authorities will cause them pain.
Well,
it doesn't have to be like physically debilitating pain. I'm not advocating child abuse, obviously, but there was a reason why spanking worked.
Well, it certainly got their attention, didn't it?
You convinced them. I don't want to do that anymore.
Well, no, capital punishment, not capital punishment, corporal punishment is what it was.
Yeah, corporal punishment.
Capital
punishment is different. Corporal punishment served in World War I.
That's the next level. You spank them and then you hang them. That's a separate thing.
What?
But you raise so many different points leading up to this, and I think it takes our best minds to think of what is really the issue here. Is it what we have in our hands, and that is a bunch of children that have been raised by single family moms, where there are no fathers around, no men around to mete out discipline, and is that the problem? Our government, let me finish with this. Our government knows how to incentivize people to have children. Okay?
Yeah.
What they don't do is incentivize fathers to stay with families. They don't do a thing about
that. That is true.
And that's what an exceptional country would do. Okay, we're taking a break. Matthew, you can stay on. We're going to take a break. Come back in a few moments. Hello, this is Jack Clegg. Thank you for listening and participating in the Jack Clegg Show Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Our audience and management have asked us to extend the show to Thursday nights at 7 p.m. and we will do at least until the 2024 election is over. We will continue to oppose the rich men north of Richmond who want to control what we think and control what we do.
Hey, Mimi, we're moving.
Moving to Wednesdays at 5.
You can check out He Said, She Said on a new day.
Hump Day.
A new day, but we'll still be discussing and debating the hot topics.
And take your phone call.
You can listen to us on 990 AM, WGSO, WGSO.com.
And find out who's right. Of course, that's me.
No, of course, that's me. I've been doing this 23 years, Mimi.
Practice makes perfect.
So you see, we'll have plenty to talk about on He Said, She Said.
Wednesdays at 5.
Right here on WGSO.
Hi, my name is Corey. I work with Neurogenics to provide the most stylish therapeutic shoes for healthy living footwear. Foot care is the root of prevention and is a key factor for our quality of life. I would like to share this amazing health service that many people are unaware that they are entitled to have, of a low or no cost pair of therapeutic shoes, and to help make your insurance benefits more accessible and work for you. Contact me for a house call visit or an office visit. We can arrange an appointment around your schedule. 504-205-4115.
Tux Charitable Foundation, in association with the crew of Tux Parade, is holding the 4th Tux Umbrella Walk and Gumbo Draw on October 28th at 9 a.m. in Audubon Park, shelter number 10 off Magazine Street. Food, drink, live music are all included with registration. This is where Mardi Gras meets Halloween, and everyone is encouraged to come in costume. Kids' activities include the Small Friars Umbrella Decorating Tent, Decorated Wagon Parade, and Small Friars Funhouse. Please go to www.tuxfoundation.org for information and registration.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Brooke Thorrington. The last gubernatorial debate before early voting airs tonight on Louisiana Public Broadcasting. Counsel for a Better Louisiana President, Barry Irwin, says this debate with 5 of the major candidates will focus on their plan for the future for the Bayou State.
We think that really we need to kind of focus on where we're going for the long term of the future. And so as part of that, we're actually including some student voices from colleges and universities around the state.
It airs at 7 o'clock and can be streamed afterwards. As salt water moves up the lower Mississippi River, plans are underway to build a pipeline to take fresh river water from past Kenner to drinking water treatment plants in Orleans and Jefferson parishes. New Orleans Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, Colin Arnold, says this could be a lengthy process.
Potentially 90 days or 3 months. A lot of that's going to be based on the weather. I think part of it, maybe some of the positive news we're seeing is a little bit more rain than was anticipated in the Midwest.
Louisiana Radio Network.
Paid for by the Fleming Campaign.
The race for Louisiana State Treasurer hasn't received much attention, but the choices are simple. A big spending political insider rhino who voted in the legislature to bust every spending cap that had been set, or a leftist Democrat who has taken dead aim at the essential oil and gas jobs in Louisiana, or Dr. John Fleming, former Deputy Chief of Staff for President Trump, an outspoken conservative in Congress, successful businessman, a military veteran. Dr. Fleming's conservative credentials has earned him the endorsement of the Louisiana GOP, as well as numerous parish GOP endorsements. John Fleming's candidacy has also won the support of Congressman Mike Johnson, Clay Higgins, and even Congressman Jim Jordan. There's no doubt who the conservative Republican is in the race for Louisiana Treasurer, Dr. John Fleming, tight-fisted with our tax dollars. Dr. John Fleming, Louisiana Treasurer.
Hey, it's Christian. When it comes to buying appliances, buy where the builders buy, and that's at DTS Appliance Direct. Shop local. Don't go to the big box store when you need a new appliance. Call my friends at DTS Appliance Direct, 504-766-0738. DTS Appliance Direct has brands of GE, Cafe, Monogram, Blaze Grill, C-Line, and many more. DTS Appliance Direct, 504-766-0738. 504-766-0738.
The Beat Exchange with Barbara Hoover, Monday evenings at 7 p.m. The place for unadulterated truths, brought to you by a pillar of the New Orleans community. From civil rights and constitutional rights to elder rights to just what's plain right, the Beat Exchange is your local community voice. Tune in to the Beat Exchange with Barbara Hoover, Monday evenings at 7 p.m.
What does Grace mean to you? At Grace at the Green Light, a 501c3 nonprofit, we believe that everyone deserves a hot meal, clean drinking water, and a chance to go home again. Our work is made possible through the generous support of Full Board Private Wealth, which provides holistic financial planning tailored for your family. Find out more at fpwa.com.
Ralph's Market cordially invites you to its Fall Wine Gala, Friday, November 3rd at La Berge, Baton Rouge. Dress in your Great Gatsby best and sample over 80 wines and hors d'oeuvres. It's the Ralph's Market Fall Wine Gala, November 3rd. Get tickets now at ralphsag.com.
It's the Flaming Conservative. Join me now on Friday nights at 7 p.m. for Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya on WGSO.
All right, New Orleans. This is now the third segment of the Jack Clegg Show, Thursday night edition. Listen to WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. Our call-in number is 504-556-9696. And we have Matthew, who we were speaking to in the last section. Matthew, you still there?
I'm still here.
Yes.
Are you still there? Or
am.
is this all an illusion?
Well, that's what a lot of people think. It's just an illusion, but it's real. Anyway, during the break, Ronald, the producer, champion, universal producer of the world.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Mhm.
We were discussing what you and I had approached and we were talking about. And I had a question. I had mentioned it earlier that to be exceptional, for this country to be exceptional, we need to do some things, some tried and true things that have worked. And if we're going to experiment, we want to only experiment with things. And one of the key things for a culture or a country or a human organization is there room for family?
There has to be.
Do we need families? And I agree with you. So how far do we have to go, or should we go, to make sure we have families?
Well, I think this goes back to something we talked about in a previous show. You want strong individuals to be the basis of strong families. For there to be strong individuals, there has to be, Maslow's laws of happiness. There has to be the something to live for, something to hope for, the ability to give and receive love. Shoot, I forget the fourth one. I know there was a fourth one. Maybe Rusty will call up and tell me what it was.
Yeah. Well, let me be less philosophical and more practical.
Well, you kind of have to start at the philosophy to build the practical. The philosophy lays the foundation.
Well, it might and it might not. Let me just give you this example. We've had family structures in civilization since it started. Okay.
As far as we can tell.
Okay. And I don't believe that they considered the philosophical aspects of it. I think what they considered.
They did it because it worked.
Let me. I respectfully disagree. I think they looked at it almost completely pragmatically. Okay, they realized that it was a different world, completely different. But they realized a man realized he needed help. He needed help, both from a physical standpoint and from an emotional standpoint. And having a family gave him that help. And whether you talk about, he wanted to have a farm, and after he wanted workers on the farm, and those would be the children, and the wife's role would be to organize the house part of the farm, not the outside field part of the farm. And we were agrarian for all those years, and the family structure worked in that it was practical. It was a practical arrangement.
The same thing.
What's that?
I think we just said the same thing.
Right. So, but there's another part of it. What happened to that farmer who didn't have a family?
Well,
was there such a thing as peer? Was there such?
He either became a bandit, go away from the more prosperous families, or he became a warrior to protect the prosperous families who could afford to spare some of their grain to pay him to beat off the farmers who decided to become bandits.
Okay. There were a lot of options for that single person, but he had to overcome the peer pressure, which said you need to have a family, whether it's just a wife, whether it's maybe just one child. There was peer pressure to do that.
There's also natural pressure.
And natural biological pressure, exactly, the biological incentive to do these things. So,
right.
So while you're right that we can look at it and we can say there were all these philosophical reasons, there were practical and pragmatic. Okay, so why don't those practical and pragmatic things work today? Let's look at peer pressure. There's virtually no peer pressure at all to have a family today. In fact, the peer pressure goes the other way.
Yeah, it discourages having children.
Right.
It discourages having children, period.
Right.
Because after all, every American child produces a bajillion tons of carbon.
Right. So exactly. So we have people breaking down the things that created and kept families together. And one of those was the community and the peer pressure. I mean, at one time when I was in high school, and and this was a long time ago, 50 plus years ago, if you got a girl pregnant, there was only one option. Okay,
Marry her.
And that's exactly it. You married her. Okay, and there have been people that had to get married and that they stayed married 50 years and were
Absolutely.
happy. Okay, so that could happen, but essentially you could put your urges on hold to improve your own personal, to improve your education, your tradesmanship, whatever it was, until you were ready, till you could take control of a girl that you wanted to marry, and B, a family you wanted to start. You could do that.
Right.
You could do that.
Absolutely. And that's still it's still an option, but it's not one that is promoted by our shall we call them cultural elites? I think you use the term.
That is exactly what we're facing today. And I don't think that we spend enough time thinking about how we got to where we are. This whole idea, the whole idea of single parent families, that somehow it's okay to get a girl pregnant and then say bye bye, you're on your own. You're on your own. To me, this is if there's any vice that masculinity can be 100% blamed for, it's that. Now,
sure.
I've heard people say that the Lyndon Johnson presidency, the Great Society, when they paid women to have children, if they were unwed, somehow contributed to this. And it could have, but we've seen that. We've learned that that's not the right way to do it. Yet,
so why are we still doing it?
Yet we are still doing it. Why? And it's because I think there's a total absence of discussion of the pros and cons of having a family. We act as if you don't have a family, everything will be okay. And it's none of your business whether I have a family. It's none of your business whether I have kids. No, it is. We all have a duty. I think we all have a duty to actually think and act in the best interests of each other.
Well, certainly we have a duty to ourselves, and that duty to ourselves is best fulfilled in a family setting. Are you familiar, by any chance, with a YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute channel called Podcast of the Lotus Eaters? I would tell you will not do yourself any harm by listening to any of their podcasts. They really go into depth in the philosophy of all this stuff. Is by they're infamous. Some people call them. Online personality Carl Benjamin.
Okay.
But
well, thank you, Matthew. Thank you for that, and also for the recommendation that I should listen to the Lotus Eaters. That's what the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. Thank you very much for calling. We got to take a break in a moment. This is the Jack.
I'll talk to you next week. Ciao.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks for calling. This is the Jack Clegg Show, Thursday night, WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com. We're going to go into our final section. I'm going to run through all the things I wanted to talk about tonight. Back.
When the time came, I knew I had to find a place where Mom would be safe and active while still feeling independent. A place that was close to all of us and everything she needed. Locally owned and operated in the heart of Gonzales, I found Francois Ben's Senior Living. They specialize in independent and assisted living and memory care.
Call 225-647-BEND for more information on our special pre-leasing offers.
Francois Ben Senior Living. Experience life as it should be.
A business without signage is like a car with a flat tire. It's not going anywhere fast. Sir Speedy can change that. We're a trusted resource for sign design and production. Whether you need trade show displays, banners, posters, directional signs, window decals, wall graphics, or more, Sir Speedy's sign capabilities can help your business get noticed. Call us today at 504-586-9812. Sir Speedy, we do it.
Don't miss Herd's Louisiana Live from 4 to 5, Monday through Friday. Paul Herd exposes and explains state government's daily shenanigans, exposes our excess taxes, and explains how we can get to real community safety. Herd will challenge your legislators to repeal taxes and grow Louisiana. Repeal and grow is the name of the game. Herd's Louisiana Live is coming in hot every day at 4 p.m. Only on WGSO 990 AM.
Ryan Richardson here. Tune in every Saturday from 11 a.m. until 12 noon on WGSO 990 AM for Conversations with Ryan Richardson.
Hey folks, it's Jeff Bruere. When I'm hungry late at night, there's only one place that I go, TikTok Cafe. This 24-hour diner is the perfect casual place to chow down. It's tucked away at the corner of Causeway Boulevard and South I-10 Service Road in the heart of Metairie. This funky little cafe has been a neighborhood favorite since 1999. There's daily lunch specials and delicious dinner entrees such as hearty burgers, Cajun seasoned pork chops, sirloin steaks, and the always popular country fried steak. But I love TikTok Cafe because it has breakfast 24 hours a day. From pancakes to corned beef hash, the breakfast menu is loaded with all your favorite items. Whether you're a sweet or savory breakfast eater, TikTok Cafe has something for you. For more information, check out their Facebook page at TikTok Cafe Metairie. You can always dine in or call for delivery at 834-6272. That's 834-6272. TikTok Cafe, always ready to serve you.
Hey, everything old is new again, fans. This is Douglas Viviani with David Cohen. We are changing times on WGSO 990 AM from Saturdays at 1 to 9 a.m. That's every Saturday. Everything old is new again. David, what do you think?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we're kind of morning people more than afternoons, right? We usually nap around 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we run out of gas pretty. We're talking all kind of pop culture, entertainment, celebrity interviews. Wake Up New Orleans on Saturdays with Everything Old is new again, 9 a.m. WGSO.
Join me, Mitch Gibbs, every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. for our 8th season of Breakfast with the Bayou Bengals, live from the Silver Slipper Casino in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi.
All right, New Orleans. It's the fourth and ending segment of the Jack Clegg Show Thursday night edition. WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. And I want to thank Matthew for calling in and sharing some of his thoughts on a variety of matters. Actually, one of the most important ones we have, and that is men and women getting together and having families. I don't think there's any issue as critically important to our country, to our future, than that. And we have
Rusty from Jefferson.
Mr. Rusty from Jefferson, how are you today?
Okay, I'm going to disappoint you, but I got to be honest with you.
All right, be honest.
I thought you were. I just tuned into you in the last few minutes, and because I thought you were going to have a show with guests on tonight. What happened with that?
I was supposed to, and they have rescheduled. These were the three guests from the Jefferson Assembly, and in their absence, I've had to do a decent show. But I wanted to say one thing, so bear with me. One of the things I wanted to talk about, we were talking about the libraries. In the American Library Association, Texas and Montana have parted ways with the American Library Association. They have found what they have done to be disruptive, indoctrinating children, exposing children to pornography and things that the community does not want. I have a letter here dated August 21st, 2023 from the South Carolina State Library and Library Association in South Carolina. After much contemplation and with great disappointment that I write this letter to inform you that the South Carolina State Library will not be renewing our institutional membership with the American Library Association. We are a long-standing member of the ALA and continue to support the foundational goals, which include the freedom to read, intellectual freedom, and the code of ethics and associated principles. These principles are in part connected with my decision not to renew our membership. So South Carolina has joined Montana and Texas. And the letter, you can get it online. There's a couple of articles about it. But this is what that grassroots group of women from Jefferson Parish have been uncovering in the public libraries in Jefferson Parish. And it's going all over the nation. And I just wanted to say how honored I was to have them on my show last Thursday. And I think next Thursday they're going to be back. At least that's what the tentative thing. They could not make it. They're doing something else this evening. But that's what was planned for tonight.
Right.
And they're not.
Yes. And I guess my input in that topic is limited. And I guess I said, hey, when I get free, I'll tune in. But I guess I didn't know you were going to have a regular show. But I listened last week. I mean, not last week, 2 weeks ago when they were on. I did listen. It's just that I don't have any kids. And I guess my input is limited. But I wanted to say something about what I heard you and Matthew talk about.
Sure.
And you said something in many ways is quite profound, yet I have an issue with it somewhat, and here it is. You said you don't know how a man can get a woman pregnant and just walk away. And I understand that fully. But we live in a culture that encourages a lot of sensuality and sexuality, not just for men, but for women too.
Sure.
And it becomes harder and harder to meet someone you can marry and be compatible with. Sure. And I'll say one more thing. If you're old as you and I on the same age category,
sure.
And we both might remember, and other people might have seen the reruns of the Honeymooners that used to be on with Jackie Gleason.
To the moon, Alice, to the moon.
And I got a big mouth, things like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, but a woman would marry a man back then who didn't have a lot of money. Look at the apartment they live in that show. I mean,
bus driver. Yes.
Yeah, bus driver, but the apartment is the lowest level
sure.
that you can practically live on. Today, women go to college. They get an education. They expect more from men today. And money really makes the relationship. Not meeting someone you're compatible with and that you know that you can spend hopefully the rest of your life with, have children with. It's not like in our parents' day or even when we were young, Jack. And I guess I feel like there are other things complicating this. I'm not saying a man should walk away from a woman, just to make it clear, if he gets her pregnant. I think he should, participate in that relationship for the sake of that child. But there are other factors involved, and our society is not that simple anymore regarding these matters anymore. Things have happened in the last 50 years that people for thousands of years before couldn't imagine happening. There's artificial contraception. there's this, there's that, all that.
It's made a big
And I guess
difference. Yes.
all that adds to the situation. But I think that the society is fragmented, and it's hard to meet someone. There was a play, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to stop. There was a play written years ago called Our Town. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Well, people knew one another. They developed relationships, and they would find a girl in the neighborhood if you were a guy, or vice versa, and you could find out and you say, I would like to spend my time with this person. A lot of the young people, they go to college, they meet someone, and everything's a fling. And I guess what I'm saying today, the Our Town world for the most part, doesn't exist anymore.
And I would Rusty, I would agree, but it doesn't mean that we can't learn from what I'm going to say is a mistake.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that. And what I'm thinking about is I was at my 50th high school reunion, and I talked to several women my age, 68.
Yeah.
And they're alone. They're
alone.
And there are a lot of women that worked hard on their careers. They worked hard to avoid having family connections so they could improve their career. But when they got to be in their 50s, they were like, what is all this? What is all this? Instead of driving a Toyota Camry, I have a small BMW. That's why you made those decisions? Of course it is. So I think what we need to do is open up the discussion and learn from the women who did this. And perhaps they could educate younger women and tell them, hey guys, you might not be doing something in your best interest. Trying to be like men ain't going to work. Anyway, Rusty, thanks for calling in, and we'll hear from you maybe Tuesday night on our next show.
I will.
All righty.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. All right, folks, we got to leave you in a second. This is a Jack Clegg Show, Thursday night edition. Thanks for listening. Watch us on YouTube.
The Louisiana Music and Heritage Experience presents NOLA Funk Fest, October 20th through the 22nd at the New Orleans Jazz Museum. This festival includes 3 days of our local beloved music, food, art, and fun, plus a special Fats Domino and Dave Bartholomew exhibit. The festival will feature Irma Thomas, Leo Nocentelli, the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, George Porter Jr. and the Runnin' Partners, and so much more. For tickets and more information, go to nolafunkfest.com.
This is Kate Delaney from America Tonight. The show kicks on at midnight, and I'm loving the overwhelming support in New Orleans. What a group of fantastic listeners here on WGSO 990 AM. Join me every morning to catch up on what I call the buzz in your backyard and mine. You'll hear some of the most interesting people on the planet from the world of business, politics, sports, and, well, just intriguing people with a story to tell. If you're around, give us a call. Don't worry, I'll spit out the number plenty of times on the air. Let's agree to meet at midnight right here on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans.
It's Jeff Cruere, host of Ringside Politics. I'd like to introduce WGSO General Manager Mary Ann Guzman.
WGSO is locally owned and operated right here in New Orleans. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasize local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, then we have some prime spots available.
Thanks, Mary Ann. Folks, take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
Hey, it's Kevin Carr with your personal sneak preview invitation to join me on Sunday evening from 8 to 9 for Fat Guys at the Movies. Each week, I give you my take on the newest movies and movie news, but in a fun way. Not like those stuffy movie review snobs who take themselves